right, welcome back to the Tool World Podcast. I'm your host, David Ju, and I'm here with Master Ju.
How's it going there, Mr. Ju?
It's going okay.
Just another day.
Just
It's
another
okay.
day. And this week...
Cold?
Yeah, it is a little bit chilly here. But recently I've discovered thermal layers.
Ah.
I had never wore that in my life, and I would say it's pretty
like
life-changing.
Life-changing. It's called a t-shirt.
Anyway,
In the old days, it was a t-shirt, but now it's called thermal wear.
Yeah.
It's a good way to sell more stuff.
That's right. It's all marketing.
It's all marketing.
Last week we covered the two techniques in one, the front back fist strike, right? Where you could strike someone behind and forward, but it's all encompassed into one technique.
Right.
And this week we're going to look at the circular block. And the circular block has a couple different
ways to perform it,
and there's definitely a couple different applications that you can do. So let's start with the applications. What would be one of them?
Well, I think we should first talk about how is it performed and why is it called the circular block, right? Mm-hmm. And then we'll talk about the applications. But the circular block is the blocking arm is actually performing this circular motion, and it's actually one flowing motion. Mm-hmm. So we need to understand that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the application is concerned, so I think there's two applications. One is that you block one technique, it's almost like scooping and throwing it to the side, maybe to the other opponent. Mm-hmm. Another application is that blocking two techniques, like a low front snap kick and an offers four-fist punch. So you're actually going block. Mm-hmm. But the technique still has to be performed in a circular motion. So when we look at the two possible applications where you're doing the front snap kick and a four-fist punch, it's almost like block, and so you would do that low block first with the inner form. It's almost like you stop, mm-hmm. and then you block the punch. So then you go. It's almost like two separate techniques.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Is that how you perform it? Not really. It's supposed to be one
fluid motion. Yeah.
One fluid motion.
Okay, so let's just take a look at you're defending against two techniques.
Okay.
A kick and a punch.
Right.
How does the hands rotate?
Well, that's a good question because I think a lot of students don't actually think about that. And you have to look at the intermediate positions of the hands as well, right? Where are they normally located? But almost all tools, almost all techniques have a rotation. Whether it's punching or striking or blocking, there is a rotation. So sometimes there's no rotation, right? Mm-hmm. But in general, they're mostly rotating. So when we go down into this kind of a low block with the inner form, the hand actually has to rotate inward. So since some of you guys are just listening to this, my blocking hand, we'll take it extreme, but my blocking hand, let's say my right hand, should be facing towards the heaven. And then as it goes down, it's going to rotate. The non-blocking hand would then be facing towards the earth, mm-hmm. and then it would rotate towards the shoulder line, right? Mm-hmm. So they would basically rotate on that first technique. Mm-hmm. As you block that first kick, and then when you come up, you notice that the blocking hand is already facing towards the earth, and it's coming up to block the middle block, and so that hand's going to rotate to block that middle punch. Mm-hmm. Let's say it's a middle punch. That means on the other hand, it's got to rotate. Whatever happens on the right hand has to happen on the left hand, right? So since my left hand is on my shoulder, my hands are going to cross, or they're going to have this intermediate position. Both of my palms will have to be facing away from me. Mm-hmm. So because I'm twisting my blocking hand to do the inner form, the other hand is then rotating back to my hip. So that's, I would say that's the rotation, but when you watch a lot of green belts or color belts, there is no rotation. The only rotation might be just the circular part where it goes down and then it comes up and then it does the middle block, and then the hand rotates on that particular technique only. And then you see the non-blocking hand not rotating, it just comes to the shoulder line. But right. They should rotate.
But the rotation you're talking about, that was the extreme version. So what would the typical if we're working on that rotation without having the hands pointing straight up and straight down?
I think that the intermediate hand position is really like towards where your shoulder line is, and your hands are relaxed, like you're in a fighting position, right? I mean, my hands wouldn't be pointing up towards the heaven, and my other hand wouldn't be. It's just my hands are up. So if I'm like fighting, let's just take it from that point of view. What's your natural position for fighting? That's kind of why I always kind of think that really we make our movements around the chest line, shoulder line, kind of in this position, because that's where we fight, right? And so when we look at intermediate hand positions, like when I punch, it's in this area. I don't shoot my punch from my hip, right? My hands are up. And so I still have to have that backward motion. I don't know, I'm kind of sidetracked here, but my hand would actually come straight back, maybe more towards my armpit and then straight forward. And that's the same with the circular block. My hand would be here. My palms would be fundamentally facing each other. And so when I go down, it rotates. It's a smaller rotation, that's all. But to teach this idea to color belts, I teach it where the blocking hand is facing towards the heaven, the non-blocking hand is facing towards the earth.
Right. Okay, my next question here is, so we're talking a lot about that rotation, and the rotation does help with the speed, which helps with the power, right?
Right.
We mostly talked about blocking two attacks, the kick and the punch. But what about ones where we're scooping? Do we still have to do the rotation, or can we just have the palm down and scoop it out?
Well, first of all, it's not a scooping block.
I mean, sorry, circular block, it's circling it out. But if I was just fighting one person, and they're just doing one technique, and I was trying to capture, grab in, throw it out, do I still have to execute the rotation?
I would say yes. And so you could say it's to scoop it, but it's not a scooping block.
Yeah.
Right? And it really is a block. It's just that the technique is forming this circular motion. Well, that's an interesting concept as well. Does that make it a pushing block? Because pushing blocks are circular in nature. So the circular block, I still want to create destruction. I want to create speed, and so the hands have to rotate. Am I trying to just passively push it away, or am I trying to actually destroy the technique? And if I want to really destroy it, I need to have speed, and I have to rotate my hand. So I would say you still need to perform it in a twisting motion of the blocking tool.
Okay. Let us know your thoughts on circular block, and how do you guys perform it. As always, don't forget to be safe.
Keep training.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Take one.